Hey there, today we're going to be showing you how to make these super cute waterproof cat stickers. I have a variety of these. Actually, these are my own designs and I do sell them on my Etsy shop, but I struggled to get a good product in the beginning. So I'm going to show you how I make my waterproof stickers. If you like this video, hit subscribe and we will jump into it. So I'll start out by working in Silhouette Studio. This will be the final layout that we are going to create. I will timestamp in the description below the different segments of creating these stickers so you can jump ahead, kind of see the outline and the timeline of what's included and jump around to where you need some help. So we're gonna go and grab all these individual PNG files. I actually create and draw all of my stickers in Procreate on my iPad and then export them out as PNGs with a transparent background so that I can bring them into Silhouette Studio. So when you work in the Silhouette Studio, it's gonna bring in each PNG file as its own page layout. So you can see there I now have 1, 2, 3, 7 or 8 different tabs at the top. So each of those files has come in on its own layer. I'm going to resize it to what I think is an appropriate size. Most of the time I would say my stickers are usually around 3 inches or somewhere in that window depending on the format, but 3 inches seems to be a good common size. You can make them as big or as small as you like them to be. So I'm going through, I'm resizing all of these. They're about 3 inches wide. And then I take them and I end up putting them on the same page or the same layout so they're easy to work with. I go and delete the blank pages to try to keep things tidy. And so I'm going up, selecting my image, clicking width, hitting tab so that it auto jumps to the height function, and then I'm copying and pasting to my single layout that started as the white cat face. So I've got all 4 different color cat faces. I'm now going to go and get the bowling pin cats. So the first bowling pin cat that I created was based off of my cat Nika. She was sitting up on a banister where she shouldn't have been and kind of was a little bottom heavy, so it made me think of a bowling pin. So that's Nika, and Nika as a bowling pin. So I'm going to resize Nika and cut and paste her to the single layout there. Again, I actually scaled her back up to about 3 inches tall. And then have my second bowling pin cat, which is kind of more of a kawaii style. It's the newer version. Again, about 3 inches tall in the largest dimension. Paste that to the layout. And then close out my empty tabs. And grab the last bowling pin cat, which is the two cat pins and the ball. So I'm going to change the size there, 3 inches wide, cut, and paste. So I check to make sure I've got the right machine set, which is the Portrait 4 is the device that I have. And then I also want to go and turn on the registration marks. This allows the print from my printer to register with the cut from the Silhouette 4. So I can kind of rearrange and move everything around. We want to make sure that none of the image area is within that gray hashed out space. And then the next thing I do is I like to create a small white border around the image area, kind of just a bumper area, so that I'm not cutting directly into my graphic. So you can make that as large or as small as you like. As soon as I add that, I do group that and the graphic together. Now when you go to the offset function, it will hold the settings from the last time you ran an offset. So you can run through. I'm just going to speed this up and do this for the rest of my elements. So for the bowling pin cat, the kawaii style with kind of the horizon floor, if you will, on the bottom of it, I made that a little larger than the 0.1 or the 100,000ths just because of that fine line. So I decided to increase that a bit. Same for the dual bowling pin cats. I'm going to group that. And then for the last one, this one for some reason looks like it came in a little bit off center, so the two don't appear aligned. Reset that. It still doesn't look quite right. I wonder if I had some area in the file that was a little bit bigger but transparent. So I'm going to zoom in on that and see if I can make that look a little more natural. That looks better. So take that, grab them both, group them, and zoom back out. So that is how you create a border. Now, if you want to edit that border, this cat is not grouped, so the cut line and the graphic are not grouped together yet, but I can zoom in, and if I double click on the cut line and I select that edit point, I then have the ability to go through and modify the cut line. I can simplify it if it's got too many points in it and you want it to kind of round out and even out, smooth out. I can also select an individual point and drag it around. I can pull the handles to make the shape that I'm looking for nice and round. And the reason I want to take out that corner there is sometimes when you have a harsh line or a harsh edge, it leaves a point where the sticker could tear more easily. So if we take that out and kind of smooth that out and make that a little bit softer of an edge, there's less likely of an area where the sticker could tear. So I'm just going to show you a few more areas how you can move that around and make it look nice. Sometimes you got to go to the next point over to smooth it a little bit better. I'm going to do the same for this corner. I don't have to. Just as a little more practice, a little better way to show you how you can manipulate those edges to make them work for you. Same on this guy. If you think that corner is a little bit too abrupt, we can curve that out and make it a little softer so that you have a nice edge. So I'm going to group those two. Zoom out. And here's the fun part. You can move things around your canvas area. And that one was not grouped. So I'm going to Control Z to undo. I'm going to select them both, group, and now I can move them around together. So I'm just going to play with this layout a little bit. I've already got the final one that we're going to use, but you can copy, paste, add some extras. I like to try to fill up that graphic space as much as possible. So this is our final layout. This is what we're going to use to print. So the next step would be to print. I'm going to print that to my HP. Take a look at it, make sure all the graphics came out good. And now this next step is a little bit unusual. So I've created this folder or jig, if you will, to manage the lamination process. I really struggled getting a nice, clean, consistent lamination. If you use heat, I had a problem with the stickers curling in the wrong direction. So I actually take my printout, tape it to the top inside of this little jig or this folder that I made. Make sure it's nice and smooth. You wouldn't know it there, but I try my best not to touch the stickers to make sure I don't leave any oils or fingerprints on them. Now this is the lamination film. It comes in a roll. You can get a lot of different sizes. This is the Orgard laminating film 200, I believe is the number. I was able to get that off of Amazon. I found that of all the films that I've tried, this one tends to be the thinnest, and it still had the UV blocking properties that I was looking for. So I do put that on the little jig. I put the sticky side up, so it's a little tough to work with. I have that little Cricut pointy tool that's usually used for removing things from the cut mats, and I found that to be pretty helpful in removing the release sheet. So now I'm going to take these, I'm going to move over to my little laminator. Someday maybe I'll have production grade equipment, but for now this is how we make everything in our home studio. So I'm going to put the beginning of that jig. So the jig, I keep calling it the folder, is basically a previously used either Cricut or Silhouette mat. I've got that piece of paper on there so that it's not super sticky on the surface of the printed area, and I do run that through quite slow, and I actually run it through with no heat because, like I said, I was having distortion issues with the heat setting. So I laminate cold. The tape that I use to hold everything in place, I just fold that over on the edges. And then I'm gonna lay this face down on the back of that Orgard wax paper. And I'm gonna use a little squeegee on the back. And then I also use a lint-free rag and make sure the lamination is good. Make sure there's no tiny bubbles. I've noticed that especially when there's large areas of black, that's when you really see if it's not pressed together and laminated well. I'm now going to line this up on the mat for the silhouette. And you can see I've got some hand sharpied in corner marks on the very edges because I found that when the material is up that high on the mat, that's when I get a good registration to start. So I hit the load button, it loads into the machine. I'm going to go back to my laptop and hit the send button. I am going to select them all, and Silhouette actually allows you a couple different functions. You could cut everything there, so I could cut right up next to the graphic and then a border on the outside, or I can select it all and select cut edge. Now for me, that's what I'm looking for. I don't want to cut up close to the graphic. That's why I put the border on to begin with. And Silhouette also allows you some pretty advanced tools as far as cutting goes, because if I take this double up bowling pin cat image and I still have my external border there, so the border with the offset on it. Now if I draw another shape around the outside edge, notice right now it's red, but I can code that square a different color, so I'm going to make it blue, and I can tag each of those cut lines, so the red and the blue, with a different cut setting. I think that's pretty advanced. Where this might be advantageous is if you want to make sticker sheets. So you want a number of different stickers on a layout all together, and you want to trim away the waste, so you die cut the individual sticker and you have, maybe a nice outline of a sticker card. But for today, we're just going to send the outline that we created. I usually sell my stickers individually as one-ups. Like I said, they're usually larger, about 3 inches in size. So I'm going to set that cut edge. These settings have worked really well for me to cut all the way through the paper, the lamination, and the paper backing. My machine is paused right now. I'm going to run over and unpause it, and then I'll click send. So if we get back over to the machine, it's going to do its little registration thing, which is really pretty cool. It's got an eye mark in that top left square, and then it's going to look at the crosshair on the lower left and the upper right. And at this point, if you've got the auto blade in, it actually taps down to set the depth of the blade. So it taps a certain number of times for that depth, and then it's going to start cutting. So my cut settings have been defined as cutting through the whole package twice. So I'm going to cut 2 rounds on each sticker. So I'm going to speed this up, and let's see what we get when we're all done. Sounds like that's a wrap on the waterproof cat stickers. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you thought it was helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing, and we'll get more videos posted here shortly. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.